Hello everyone, remember my Skyloong GK104 from last year? Well, after a year of happy typing, it just died on me. No lights, no screen, just completely bricked. In this video, I will share with you how I managed to get the replacement parts and proceeded to fix the keyboard, as well as few bonus tricks on how to remove the beeping sound forever and as well how to work with the Skyloong new Wi-Fi screen. So stay tuned for more details. Before we dive in, this video is for educational purposes only, attempt at your own risk, and I'm not responsible if you break your own keyboard. That being said, let's dive in. Well, since my keyboard was totally bricked and most likely within warranty, I had to reach out to Skyloong support, only to get radio silence. And after a few fruitless emails, I tried again with a different email address, and finally got a response. So they invited me to their Discord server where I opened a ticket, and within few hours they diagnosed the problem, added mainboard and screen, and agreed to send replacements at no extra cost. So shout out to Skyloong. I will leave a link to their Discord server in the description below. So let's start by looking at the package. I received the tracking information after a week of submitting the ticket, and within 3 weeks total, I have received the package. And although I had to spend a month without being able to use my keyboard, I have no complaints since it was free of charge. After opening the shipping box, we find out that the replacement kit was sent within an original keyboard packaging. Opening the packaging, we find bubble wrap, within it the Wi-Fi screen, and as well the replacement mainboard. One thing to note though, the PCB was not in an anti-static bag, so let's hope this thing works. Let's start repairing the keyboard. Before disassembling the keyboard, I start by removing the keycaps, the knobs, and the screen as well, and putting them all aside. Then I follow up by removing all of the switches, and I put all of those aside as well. And I finally remove the metallic plates from the keyboard. Next, we start taking the keyboard apart. I start by flipping the keyboard upside down, and using the hex key that came with the keyboard, I remove the 4 screws securing the bottom plate in place. Lifting off the plate reveals 2 battery connectors plugged into the main board. I carefully pull each connector straight out by its housing. Using a Phillips screwdriver, I remove the 2 screws under the legs and as well the one within the battery compartment. And with those screws out, the whole bottom assembly will come free. Now to pry the case open, I used an old credit card. I slid the card into the seam and gently separated the top and bottom parts. I found out that working the card around the edge to pop the clips while pulling outwards makes this process easier. Now we move on to the internal assembly. Since I have silent switches and I'm no fan of noise, let's remove the speaker permanently and consider this a bonus mod. I carry on unplugging every connector, then using my Phillips driver I remove all the black screws securing the internal assembly, including the switch and charging port PCB. I continue to carefully peel off the foam pad from the main board since we plan to reuse it. Then I make sure to transfer the small insulation pad under the charging port to the new board for short circuit protection. Finally, to remove the damaged mainboard, I use my Phillips screwdriver to remove the remaining screws holding the internal assembly together. Now it's time to flip the script. I'm swapping in the fresh mainboard, lining it up with the foam and resecuring it with those Phillips screws. Next, I reinstall the internal assembly within the keyboard case, working my way through backwards, reinstalling the Phillips screws and as well plugging in the connectors we removed earlier. Finally, I reinstall the foam pad, the charging port, and as well the calculator switch. Then we can reassemble the case and reinstall the screws holding it together, plug in the battery connectors, and screw in the bottom plate. And before I get to test the keyboard, I reinstall my switches, keycaps, knobs, and as well the new screen. And at last we get to test the keyboard. I powered the keyboard on and everything lit up perfectly, yet I had to repair the wireless dongle. To do so, I had to briefly hold the function and number 3 keys, within 20 seconds of plugging the dongle in. Now moving on to the Wi-Fi screen. When we cycle through the screen modes, we see a new one asking us to connect to the access point called Skyloong 3.0 screen. By doing so, we're able to connect the screen to a local Wi-Fi. Once the screen joins your network, cycle through its display modes until you see a QR code. Scan the QR code with your phone and it will take you to the screen's web interface where you can configure settings, upload images or videos, and toggle various display modes. Just a heads up, the screen needs internet access to sync the date and time, and personally I recommend not leaving it connected to a network with internet access long term just to play it safe. Shout out to Skyloong for finally integrating a built-in settings menu directly accessible from the keyboard. All you need to do is to hold the function key with the menu key for a few seconds and the menu appears. Navigating the screen settings, we can reselect the Wi-Fi, turn off the boot animation, change the display time format, start or stop the web server, synchronize date and time, and most importantly, adjusting the screen brightness with a slider that has 10 levels to choose from. One also can change the keyboard theme, the image rolling interval, and changing the screen's language with two options available, English and Chinese, which is selected by default when the screen is shipped, and remains selecting the time zone, then the option to toggle the visibility of three display modes if you don't need them, firmware update, and factory reset, and finally exiting the settings menu. It is exciting to see that the new screen is packed with features and user friendly, yet I did not review the performance monitor as this feature is not particularly useful for me. And that wraps it up. The keyboard is alive and fully functional again with the new mainboard, a new Wi Fi screen, and even I got to remove the speaker. Honestly, I'm glad Skyloong was responsive and sent the replacement parts, even if it took a few emails to get their attention. It was definitely frustrating to have the keyboard suddenly die without any warning, especially for something that is supposed to be my daily driver. But I've got to give props to Skyloong's customer support. Once I reached them, they were quick to help diagnose the issue and sent the replacement parts at no cost. That kind of support really makes a difference. One nice bonus in all this, Skyloong actually sent me their new Wi Fi enabled screen, replacing my older 2.01. It's a big step up. You get the wireless setup, a full web interface, plus a bunch of configurable features directly from the keyboard. Honestly, it turned an annoying situation into a bit of a win. And getting hands on with this upgrade definitely has me curious to try more of Skyloong's gear, especially their Hall effect keyboards or even their wireless mouse. If you've got the same keyboard or ran into a similar issue, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience or help if I can. I've dropped useful links below, including their Discord server and product pages. If you found this video helpful or just satisfying to watch, give it a like and share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.